Hi, everybody. Welcome to Next to Media. I'm Mike Shields. I'm here with David Kostman. He's the CEO of the new Teeds. Hey, David. Thanks for being here.
Hey, Mike. Thanks for having me. Pleasure.
The pleasure is mine. It's excellent timing because you've had some very big news. Outbrain we talked for years about there was a possible Outbrain-Taboola merger. Now it's Outbrain and Teeds, which maybe not have been as expected. So let's just talk about the big news of the moment. What's behind that deal?
So it's actually always been, for me personally, since I took the job as CEO of Outbrain about 7 years ago, the dream combination would be Teeds, which is combining two leaders of the open internet. Outbrain very strong in performance and native. Teeds invented the space for video, and combining the two really positions us as scale leader with about $1.7 billion of ad revenues, and really the only one that can deliver performance and branding for brands, whether they are enterprise brands, small, medium enterprises. Sort of our focus combined is to deliver full funnel outcomes, which are performance and branding for all type of brands. So we're very excited about it. And so it was the end of a very long process. We actually tried to combine with them 2 or 3 times in the past. We're very, very close. And for some reason it didn't happen. And now sort of the circumstances happened with the controlling shareholder Altice, who needed to sell assets. So it's all worked out.
Right. But because those oftentimes when you get close, you don't want to revisit things. You've already gone through that. That's actually, that's cool that it came to the finish line. Okay. So, and that makes sense to me that you're, instead of rolling up two companies that do the same thing, this feels like a complementary, get bigger together kind of plan.
Yeah. That's why it's exciting, because it's sort of broadening what we do in a much more significant way. It's not just duplication, eliminating costs. It's really about a sort of new day for both companies. I mean, we sort of adopted the name Teeds. So I
was going to ask you why that.
So it's a new Teeds that is a much broader than what Teeds was, and it's much broader than what Outbrain was. And sort of it's a new company, but we decided to adopt the name Teeds. I think where we want to go, and Teeds is really synonymous with very premium brand advertising. In the last years, they started driving performance for the same brands. They have, a great position with the agencies and the brand. And this is where Outbrain, we're going. I mean, we launched a year and a half ago, we launched a product called Onyx that was sort of our foray into more branding and this ability to do full funnel. We launched a product called Moments, that's vertical video. But the name Teeds, I think we felt is really the one where the company should go. And we sort of made the decision, although we are the acquiring company, I think it's the right decision. Right. We got great feedback on the brand is, sort of newly designed. You can see it it's not the old Teeds. That's why it's the new Teeds. And we got really great feedback on both the selection of the name and then sort of how it looks and feels as really a combination of two great companies that bring the benefits of the two together.
So we're going to get into this and the how brands come to you and this full funnel thing you're aspiring for. Is there a way to define you? Over the years, Outbrain and Taboola were thought of as either ad networks or bottom of the page like filler, or that Teeds was an ad network or video network. At one point, I think there was a talk of building like the operating system for publishers. So I guess what are you, if you can define yourselves?
So I think both companies, Teeds, the old Teeds and the old Outbrain and the new Teeds, one of the unique aspects is that we have exclusive access to that inventory of publishers. So we have exclusive access to the end of articles. Teeds has several different type of exclusivities on the middle part of the article. And with the combination, I think we're the only ones, again, that can combine also the data around these two placements and provides a much better and higher quality monetization for sort of the premium publishers. We have.
So you've got real estate. This is not just another ad network. Everyone can fill certain spots, or as part of the chain. This is like you've got defensible real estate as part of this deal.
Yeah, so we're not an ad network because a network needs to bid on placements. We have those strategic relationships. One of the uniqueness of the companies that we have on the supply side, we have this exclusivity. So you can say we control the real estate. So it also helps also a lot in terms of understanding the placements, the data, what will work where, so that it's much more than bidding into a placement. We have that. The value proposition of Outbrain for publishers is also much broader. So we are very much involved in engaging the audience in other articles, other videos, etc. So it's a much broader that also gives us a lot of data. On the advertiser side, Teeds has what is pretty unique on the open internet. It has more than 50 joint business partnerships with the top brands of the world. So from Heineken, Visa, Apple, and many others, where they transact millions of dollars a year and do a joint planning process. So it's not that today we can combine them and we'll take the Teeds brands and put them in the feed, but the ability to sort of drive this full funnel, drive performance, add prediction capabilities, add performance capabilities into the Teeds platform for those brands, and over time develop a unique value proposition because we control the real estate. So think about, we can take the whole end of article and sort of have it only a full brand page, no brand adjacency, full share of voice, no quality issues. So there's a lot that we can do together, and also link what the user experience is on the video on the top and connect it to the bottom. And over the last 2 years, which something that was also a big driver for this, Teeds has entered the CTV business in a pretty big way. And in the last quarter, it accounted for more than 10% of their revenues already on CTV, where they have, again, exclusive placements on some home screens of OEMs or TV manufacturers, and they also do online video. And the beauty of combining sort of on an omni-channel basis, sort of a campaign for an advertiser we can dynamically allocate between digital and CTV is a great asset that Teeds has.
I want to come back to the CTV aspect there. But there's a couple of, it seems like you have a couple of challenges perhaps to overcome, maybe, fair or not. There's you and Taboola are always labeled as like this chumbox thing. There's, the stuff at the bottom of the page that people make fun of some of the ads. And then on the other end, and this is not a Teeds issue specifically, but this in-stream, out-stream debate that happens about whether video that you can buy and sell all over the web is like, real video or not, or as valuable as, something in a full episode player. So that's a big question, but do you deal with are you facing those two stigmas, if they are stigmas, and how do you deal with either of them?
I think there's been some perception. I think it's mostly impacting, I would say, more the Outbrain side of things. We have moved over the last 2-3 years and really decoupled from our competitor in terms of moving much more sort of more premium on the demand side, more premium on the publisher side, and sort of we have, really moved away from certain demand sectors, but still I think that has been more of an issue. I think it's also part of the decision of sort of where we want to go is really more where Teeds has been positioned as a premium brand in the advertising market. So I think that's on that front. I think in terms of in-stream and out-stream, I actually think that the redefinitions are helping the Teeds business and the new Teeds, because there was a misperception on some things that were classified as in-stream and they were really out-stream. Yeah. And I think Teeds never misrepresented their inventory. So I think actually the fact that what was so-called trying to be in-stream is sort of more...
You can keep distance from that.
Is very helpful, because I think it sort of eliminates that misperception that certain inventory is less valuable than the other.
Okay, just getting back to the combination now and the opportunity you have, and you talk about how you have this great footprint and you have the upper funnel, lower funnel kind of combo going to compete today. That all makes sense to me, right? But do you need to be a player in? It seems like the companies with identity are the leaders, or they're getting a bulk of the dollars if you're a Google or Meta or those guys, or they have retail media data. Do you have to have either to be a big viable competitor for digital dollars? And what can you or your partners do about either of those?
Look, I think any of company that competes sort of on the open internet, I mean, we do compete with budgets that get allocated across platform from the walled gardens to the open internet. I think the advantage we have, I mean, on a Teeds today, we reach more than 2 billion unique users across the world. I think you have, for brands, when we talk to them, these are incremental audiences to what they have in other places. it's less dependency on some of the walled gardens. I think there's excellent sort of targeting and reach that we can get that is based on tremendous amount of data signals that once you combine them, obviously it becomes even much more
So
powerful.
you're not behind on targeting, so to speak, because you have so much information, right? But not, you don't have a bazillion logged in people, but you have other stuff that's really valuable.
Yeah. So we have tons of other stuff. We don't have the logged in, but for example, we have as a difference, maybe we have the real intent of the person. So when you go and you're going to sort of start reading about, maybe cars or maybe a health condition, God forbid, or something else, that is data that we have. I don't have you as a logged in user, but I know that you read about sort of that you went from the health section to maybe the gardening section. I know all of that. And then I know that in real time, you potentially are, thinking about refurbishing something or acquiring a car or getting health insurance. So we know that because that's what you actually do. You're not going to post it on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook. That's you're not going to do.
Right.
So
this is your real life. This is what you really care about.
No, this is what you really care about in real time. We process it. So obviously all these signals in real time in an effective way, and now the ability to combine it. And I think this combination of which really excites me of performance and branding is very unique in what we're going to be doing. And there's a multiplier effect. I mean, no advertiser can only do one or the other, and they sort of do help each other. There's a sort of interrelation between sort of you do more of the awareness, you can drive more performance. I mean, short term versus long term. I think we can really be a great partner for brands on both sides.
Well, on that note, do you think that is potentially shifting? Because over the past couple of years, as we've seen, like retail media has exploded, and it's just like this overall performance wave has taken over, seemingly taken over. That's what all brands seem to care about. But you are seeing like an Amazon talk a lot more about full funnel and connecting these dots, and there seems to be more interest in that. Is that potentially shifting now that we've had retail media mania?
I think it's shifting, and I think there's a deep understanding of the sort of interrelation between the two, especially when you talk about enterprise brands or even small, medium enterprises. Today, for example, if you look at the ability of a SME to do a little bit more on video and branding because of AI and have the assets of it to create, the creative side is much cheaper, much more accessible. Targeting on a CTV environment is like digital. So it's not that you need to have linear TV budget. So for example, we have at the old Outbrain, huge amount of small, medium enterprises that advertise for us for performance, whether it's a credit card, lead generation for car dealers and others. But there's a huge opportunity for us to help them get on CTV with the old Teeds assets. So I think that is definitely something that we are very, very heavy into. And I think Amazon does it in obviously in the great own environment. I think when you look at the open internet, there's no other company that can do that. I mean, there's others that we will drive, I think, the best performance out there because that's what Outbrain has been doing and now complementing sort of these predictive analytics into what Teeds does will help their brands drive better performance, but then combining it with the branding capabilities, that's unique at scale.
All right. Speaking of the open internet, let's ask about the elephant in the room, right? You're building this juggernaut that has all these pieces of the open internet at a time when there is this perception / theory that, the internet's going to be ruined. AI is going to ruin everything. No one's going to go to websites anymore. It's going to be all this, either it's going to be conversational search or you're going to have agents do all your stuff for you and the websites are over. I know I'm being, these sound like extreme scenarios, but there's definitely a school of thought that this is all over. I guess, what do you think of that? What are your publishing partners doing to combat that if they need to? Like, what's going on there?
So I think it's obviously it's early days, and I think it's a real driver for, I think, a lot of opportunity, but also a lot of some risk for sort of the traffic. I think what we've seen at least to date is that, and we compare it every month, sort of when you look at the professionally produced content, whether it's news or entertainment or hobbies or others, we have not seen that impacted at this point. I do think that when you look at newsworthy content that is sort of short term. I don't think that sort of even the AI summaries will hit that anytime soon. I think more on evergreen content. I think potentially you're looking at more of an impact on traffic. I think there's going to be advertising sort of opportunities around it. It has to be monetized somehow, and there's going to be in the value creation chain, there's going to be a way to compensate sort of for that. And I think AI also provides a tremendous amount of opportunity to do things faster, better. We've adopted AI on sort of the performance side, on creative, on titles, on headlines. The old Teeds has a huge creative studio that is part of their value proposition to brands where they have already adopted a lot of AI tools. So I think on that front, there's a big opportunity, obviously, internal efficiencies, but on the advertising side and on the publisher side, I think it's a mix of opportunity and some risk on traffic.
Sure. Okay. On the flip side, so the opportunity aspect of it, what does AI? Can AI help with you and your partners better with discovery, better experiences, making sure people find what they want, get to what they need? And I'm sure that's like a macro industry project, sort of speak. But what do you think about how it can improve things and be channeled?
Look, I think it also can improve because it becomes faster, more efficient. I mean, more accessible. And then the question is, how do sort of the original content creators get compensated for that? I mean, because this is fueled by data that has been produced. I think that is where I think the industry is coming together to find the best ways to sort of allocate the economic value to it.
Do you think we as an industry need to do something to, there's a fear that there's going to be so much crap out there, bad, AI generated content. Not that AI is not useful in creating content or shaping it, but to like almost educate the consumer or the market, the value of these real publishers. And I'm calling them real. That matters.
I think you're right. Listen, look, at the end, when you look at original mission of Teeds and us is really to help the publishing industry thrive. And we've been doing that for many years. I think we're very strategic in terms of the monetization value we bring to the CNNs, the Foxes, the Washington Post, or the New York Post. We are exclusive with both, all four of them. So no political statement here. But this is we're very important partners, for example, for these type of publishers. And I think the fact that there is one large company like ours that's what we sort of have as part of our mission will be very helpful to them in terms of elevating the user experiences, the quality and monetization on the site. And I think, listen, it's an important thing for society. I mean, we want sort of our children to go and consume the news on any professionally produced, curated, sort of property that is not user generated. I think there's, for example, there are big efforts we are doing with others in the industry around sort of the blocking of news pages.
Yeah.
I mean, you know that story. So
how's that going? Are you breaking through? Because you wonder if brands care. Are they afraid of it? Are you getting some headway?
Like, it's an interesting thing when you talk to CMOs, and so they say, "Oh, I didn't even know
right.
Wouldn't I be?
How could I? I would never do that." Yeah,
but then I would never do that. Of course, I want to help journalism, and I think it's important for society. But then you have the buyer at some agency say, "No, I'm going to block," and then they block it like in a huge way,
indiscriminately.
It's like domain blocking totally. I mean, why wouldn't you want to be? Even if you don't want to be, by the way, you can be next to news pages. It's been proven by research that your brand is super safe and very well. I mean, if it's against a news page, like against a sports page. So there's a lot of research that proves that. But I think the blocking, I think we are managing to make some progress around being more selective about it, and more sort of judicious about what yes and what no. And I think we can make a lot of progress. And I think it's part of something that Teeds, with the new Teeds, want to continue to do with others in the industry.
One more AI question, I promise. You've seen this, there's a huge wave of adoption of AI-driven media buying optimization platforms, right? Among Meta and TikTok, Amazon, Pinterest, they all have these tools. Do you think, is AI going to take over media buying? Do you need to prepare for that reality? Is that not realistic?
I think that's something we've been adopting already. I mean, AI is a big term. I mean,
It depends on what you mean. Yeah.
we've been using predictive AI for years in terms of that. That's how the algorithms work.
Right.
They immediately sort of learn of what they've seen from certain placements, certain ads, what works where, and continuing to improve. So I think that there are huge opportunities on injecting AI into that. I think, part of the benefit of the combination is that we can allocate resources on the engineering side to do that. Actually, I mean, we went through a combination, so it has some synergies, but if there's one area we're hiring and looking is for more talent in that area, I think that sort of the algorithms will be significantly improved and changed in terms of even how you think about them when you adopt some of these new models. So I think it's a huge opportunity. Obviously, we need to invest in it, and the big players are investing some money in it, as you can see even from last week. I mean, it's staggering. I mean, the amounts that are being invested. So we have to, within our 400 product and engineering team, do the best we can to do it. But I think we have a lot sort of that we have done. I mean, in terms of automating the bidding processes, incorporating AI in that. And I think there's still, a lot that we can do there.
I said I would come back to CTV. I want to ask you about how that's another thing you might not expect from a big open web company. For a long time, like quote unquote online video and television were different worlds, different buying mechanisms, all that stuff. How does Teeds get headway in a space that is dominated by some big players? And what's the opportunity with connected television? Because some of your partners are in CTV and some are not, right? So it's got to be an interesting way to get into that world.
Yeah, so it's a broadening of the service we give to advertisers. So advertisers are looking for an ability to take their budgets and spread them dynamically between digital, CTV, linear, and I think it's becoming sort of more of a unified view, and the budgets are shifting significantly from linear to CTV. So you want to be there for sure as a company. Teeds has built they've been a little late to the game because of lack of investment in early days, but I think they caught up. And today, I mentioned, I mean, it's a, significant part of the business starting to be, and we're attacking it from, I think, three angles. One is unique formats and placements that we have with some of the original equipment manufacturers like LG and Hisense. So where we have this home screen where you spend a lot of your time looking at the tides.
So they could play there a little bit more than like a traditional 30. You can innovate.
Exactly. So a significant part of the business that we have now in CTV is around those placements, and we're broadening that. And that is also something that is, you can buy it programmatically because it's a non-standard format.
Yeah.
So that's one, and I think it really plays to the original strength of the original Teeds. On top of that, we do the normal 30, 17, 20 second, 30 seconds sort of videos in the stream. And there, I think the advantage that we have is that we can do it on a omni-channel basis. So launch a campaign, you can allocate it dynamically between digital and CTV. And also there we have relationships with the Rokus, with a lot of the streaming applications. And the third element is where I think we will be investing a lot. I referred to it a little bit earlier, is that the CTV is also becoming more available, affordable for small, medium enterprises as a performance sort of platform.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of interest in that and attempts at trying to channel that market.
So I think combined basis, Outbrain traditionally is very strong with small, medium enterprises driving performance, Teeds on CTV. Combination of that plus the ability through AI to create video in a faster, more efficient way, I think creates a huge opportunity. And there we are in the early days of it. I mean,
so do you think you'll play a role in helping those brands get TV creative?
No, we will help. I mean, we do not do the creative. We have a creative studio, but we don't obviously do the creative. So, but they are in the ecosystem. Many companies that are now helping SMEs to produce pretty quickly video and test it.
Yeah.
We can be the arm that delivers it. We have those relationships. We have a lot of, since we announced the deal, I mean, a lot of our small, medium enterprise customers have talk to us about how can they get more into video and do that. And we had tremendous sort of feedback from some of the Teeds brands that want to drive better performance. And like you referred, what Amazon is doing in to this combination, they see the opportunity for Teeds not only to do branding and some driving traffic, but really drive performance. So that's how sort of we think there's a big opportunity there. And on the CTV, I think these are sort of the three I mentioned are really the differentiators.
Last thing, David, what's next for you guys? I know this you've done a lot of work behind the scenes to make this company one. What should we look for in the next 6 months? What's exciting for you? What are you looking forward to?
So I need to relax a little bit. It's been
good luck with that.
I'm kidding, but it's been obviously a very, very exciting and busy year to get to the closing. I mean, it is a merger of two companies, each of them about 1,000 people.
Not that
it's very
simple,
large. Yeah. We did the financing around it. So there was a lot of work, and very excited now to launch the new Teeds. So a lot of the next few months is about execution, starting to really see the benefit of these cross-selling opportunities, bringing sort of the message of CTV to SME. So there's a lot of the strategy. One of the benefits we have is that we had a pretty long regulatory review process of about 6 months. So as much as it's also painful, but also gives you an opportunity to do very thorough planning.
You're ready. You should be, yeah.
We basically have all the big decisions made. The organization is fully baked in from everyone knows what their position is, who's in, who's out, and who's managing what. So we're very, very prepared.
That's probably rare in a merger, right? Like
very rare. No, it is. I mean, I know that this is very rare, and it's at big scale. So I'm super pleased with that. So I think we can now really focus on execution, and sort of the stronger together of Outbrain and Teeds into the new Teeds, I think will be just tremendous for the industry and for us.
Well, it should be fun to watch. Good luck with your plan to relax. But David, thanks so much for your time here. Great conversation.
Thank you very much, Mike. Great. It was a pleasure.